Hi everyone, I am Corione, your witch in residence here on YouTube. I'm not 100% fully recovered from selling my voice to a sea witch, but I'm getting it a lot better, and hopefully I'll have made the last of the installments by next week. So, I'm going to talk about a TV series that I really enjoyed, created by probably one of my favorite current um, showrunners out there, Ronald Moore. I get to talk about Battlestar Galactica. And I know a lot of the times I tell you guys to think differently about shows and look for themes that you may not have seen the first time through. This one's going to be a little different because they did nothing to hide this theme, but I don't think a lot of people caught it. And I'd like to make its presence known to you guys. But with that in mind, I do want to say um, thank you to all my current subscribers. If this video tickles your fancy and you'd like to see more of it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Along with a like or a share or a comment, it really does a heck of a lot to grow the channel. I would really appreciate it. I'm sure your favorite YouTubers would appreciate it. With that obligatory ritual out of the way, let's get on to the deck. Salute Admiral Adama and talk about Battlestar Galactica. Now, we all know the basic story of Battlestar Galactica. The colonials are a bunch of humans living on these 12 colonies, and then suddenly the Cylons show up, a enemy of humanity from when humanity first created the Cylons, and started effectively a robot uprising. And now they've come back and they've launched a devastating nuclear first strike. And the only survivors are a ragtag fleet and the last Battlestar, the Battlestar Galactica. And they are searching for a new home that is going to be free of the Cylons and a place where they can begin again. Now, that sounds all good, and it sounds like there's a lot of fun and adventure and everything for stories and what have you. But there's something a lot of people miss. The the colonials are worshiping the old gods of Europe. They worship Hera and Zeus and Athena. They are pagans. They are polytheist. They are the basis of the traditional religions of Europe, which is what Wicca is founded upon. So these are my people, right? And they're being hunted down and exterminated by a monotheistic, single mind style, group thinking, you know, oppressive religious zealots that are only worshiping one god, right? If this does not scream, the persecution of witches by Christians, I don't know what does. Right? I mean, let me give you some historical context. Back in the day in Rome, when Christianity was first starting out, and really becoming a religion when it was still kind of considered a cult, they would feed Christians to the lions and do terrible things to them, because they were stamping out what they thought was evil. And then Christianity rises to power in Rome, leads to the dark ages of man, exterminates the old knowledge, and then we see, right, the rise of groups determined to exterminate the last vestiges of pagans, of witches in Europe. And these people hiding and running and living very guarded and secret lives. Well, that's what we're seeing in Battlestar Galactica too, right? The big difference, of course, is, Wicca never found a homeworld. Instead, we went underground. We operated in secret, in quiet, because of the need for secrecy and the need for quiet at that time. And in fact, that's why a lot of people argue that even today it's very difficult to find groups of witches because they are so underground and so hidden. I am actually one of the very few Wiccan priesthood out there that is very public and very open about what he does and what he practices. So, when you think about it that way, that this is a story about what happened years ago to a people being told through a sci-fi theme, it changes the way you view the series. At least for me it did, right? You don't just see the Cylons as the bad guy. You start to see them as a wounded, pained, hurt people that are determined to inflict that pain and suffering on others. And you start seeing the pagan people there doing the things that they have to do, that they feel they're justified in doing, because they are so afraid of being exterminated, of their history, their culture, their everything being snuffed out and never seeing the light of day again. It ups the stakes a fair bit in the story. We're no longer just seeing, Starbuck go out there and fight some Cylon raiders. We're seeing one of the last great pagan warriors doing everything she can to keep her brothers and sisters alive for one more day, even if that means being willing to sacrifice themselves. There's a saying among pagans who identify with a more martial aspect. And I will paraphrase it down and take only the section that matters here, which is, "And if I should fall like the harvest corn, it is my fate, for I am pagan born." And that speaks a great deal to what Starbuck's character is going through. Then you have Admiral Adama, who is trying to hold together the last light of enlightenment in the world and carry it to a new place, a safe place for his people, even if he has no idea where that place is. Right? The motivations and the pain now makes a lot more sense, right? You now see Ty as not just being a drunk beforehand and not just having a good reason to get sober now, but an even better reason to climb back in the bottle. Because, the world is over, right? The future belongs to the machines, and he can see that. And it's terrifying and it's horrific to him, right? They're being hunted like rabbits being hunted by hordes of dogs. It's it's unbelievable to think about that. Not even, what, less than 700 years ago we were doing that to each other. Way less when you consider when it happened in the Americas, which is, less than 100 years ago. We've been having this persecution. Hell, right now in Uganda, they have passed anti-witchcraft laws. There are countries in the world, because of my faith, I can never go to, and would not just be considered suspicious, but I would be shot getting off the plane. So it's worth considering about that there is that ugliness in the world, but there is also that hope, right? We see that even though things are dire for these people, they're willing to push on, they're willing to keep trying, they're willing to fight for one more miserable day, because that may be the jump that finally takes them home to a safe place, to a place where they can grow and become one. And ultimately, it becomes vital for people to put away their hate in the series and stop hating the Cylon or stop hating the Colonials simply because of who they are, and start realizing that the only way people are going to live and move forward and grow is to put aside the past hatreds and embrace things like love and caring and mutual respect. So, I want you guys to consider that. Consider what it takes to decide after a while that maybe it's time to stop hating people based on where they come from or what their culture is, and instead learn about it, and instead try to embrace it a little bit. Um, I've gotten very fortunate. I have two great friends on YouTube, PD York and Kamran Pasha. Uh, PD York has a very Christian outlook on the world, but he does so from a very respectful Christian place. And Kamran will tell you that he considers himself a conservative Muslim, but he does so in a way that is deeply respectful to other people as well, and views even those who don't share his beliefs as his brothers and as his sisters. And while he has made religious choices for himself, he would never make those choices for another. And that is the most important lesson we can take from this. Believe what you want. Go with what you want. So long as that, in doing so, you are not harming someone else, I say by all means embrace it. Okay? I would never tell you to embrace one religion over another. I believe that's a very personal and individual choice that you have to make for yourself. But when you make that choice, guys, make it in a way that you follow with your heart and is respectful to others. Even to this day, when I'm out in public, I get people coming up to me and saying truly hateful things because they feel they're born again and have a right to hate that which they don't understand and don't care to. I don't like making videos about topics like this. I would rather talk about unity and togetherness, and I guess it's important to understand that the hatred and the ugliness is still out there, right? The Cylons are still out there for me. But, you know, compassion, love, and respect ensure that even though they're out there, I have my defense of being caring, being respectful, and fighting off the ignorance that they bring with knowledge and compassion, and the understanding that, you know, they may not know what they're doing, and they may need to be educated to learn that this level of hate is not okay. That, going after somebody because of what they believe, provided their belief is not hurting another, is not okay. So here's what I'm going to suggest as homework. And I know this is going to sound weird, but hear me out on this. Learn about a culture that isn't yours. It can be any culture you want, okay? But spend some time on the internet, pull up a Wikipedia page, learn about a culture or religion that you're not part of. Even if it's like a really cool one, and there are some really cool ones out there. I am very fascinated by Yoruban culture. I think it's very neat. I've attended some of their ceremonies, and they are fun. They are awesome. They're full of music and dancing and drumming and food and merriment. Um, I've taken a look at Aztec culture, and while pretty bloody and pretty brutal, there's a connection to the universe there that is deeply profound. So spend the time, learn about a new culture, and in learning about it, you know, learn, defeat that ignorance of, what was going on with this other culture, and, make it something greater for yourself. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I think I've said enough and I've gone on long enough. I just want to once again say thank you guys for watching the video. Merry meet, merry part, merry meet again. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.